Moses went to the mountain, and God spoke unto him.
Moses, this is the Lord thy God, commanding you to obey my law. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, I hear you. A deaf man could hear you.
What?
Nothing, Gonish, forget it. Oh, Lord, why have you chosen me? What would you have me do for you?
I shall give you my laws, and you shall take them unto the people.
Yes, Lord! Lord, I shall give these laws unto thy people. Hear me! Oh, hear me! All pay heed! The Lord Jehovah, has given unto you these 15... Wait. 10 commandments for all to obey.
Yeah, my brother, yeah. Listen, what? You a born again Christian? Get the f out of here. No, man, I just can't picture you, being no born again Christian. I was there when you beat the bitch up now. No, don't get me wrong. I know you can find Jesus. Everybody can find Jesus. No, I love Jesus. I love Jesus. I love Jesus. Hello?
I see.
Hello, my fellow, well, let's add Earthlings, Kafir, and Goy. How are you today? Earthlings, yep, that's what the libtards think of us. We are Earthlings, we are human beings, lesser than animals. Anyway, yep, so I'm going to try to keep it light today. I was originally going to do the Crusades, Paramount Pictures, but last minute I had a change of heart, so I went with this one, which is essentially, if you read the description, it's about keeping one of the two greatest commandments, as you would imagine by the title of the movie. Yeah, just basically loving your neighbor as you love yourself. So it's another one from Cathedral Films, another one I haven't watched. So this will be my first time watching it with you guys. It's off the back of one we did a couple of days ago, Breakfast at Tiffany's, for Black Friday. Unfortunately, some of you got to watch it. I'm thankful for with the commentary. Some of you haven't. I meant to send the file to Four Mormons. I got that mixed up. But anyways, he didn't get to watch it. So hopefully he gets to do that. But yeah, that was very interesting. Breakfast at Tiffany's was released in 1940. The movie you're going to watch today in 1939, just a few months before. Yeah. So it's an interesting contrast, in retrospect. And as far as, by the way, we also did Planes, Trains, and Automobiles a couple days before that. And that is in my top 5. It slipped into the number 5 slot after Pulp Fiction. Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction was my 5th favorite movie all time because I felt it was not only preaching the gospel, but it was doing it to an audience we don't tend to want to interact with. The rebels, back then we call them the goths, or all kinds of different things. These days it's just the new norm, unfortunately. But yeah, after all this shenanigans and Roman Polanski stuff, the apologetics for pedophilia in Hollywood, and then one of the stars recently getting off, because they were begging for it. Quentin Tarantino publicly said that, well, as far as, I think it was Polanski he was apologizing for. He said she was asking for it, she was begging for it. So it's okay. So when that coupled with just he's really tasteless when it comes to gore and sodomy, like these horrendous rape scenes with even sodomy. Crazy Eights, I think, was the last Tarantino film I watched, and I just stopped in the middle of it and just stormed out because I couldn't take it anymore. The rape scene in that one is just insane. I mean, he really what's the word? Idolizes passionately, he's infatuated with horrendous, vile rape, sodomy. And then even in Pulp Fiction, when you mention the scene, quote unquote, the scene, people instantly know what you're referring to. So it's that profound. It's that, well, to put in perspective, it's that scarring. What he produces. And so, yeah, for that reason, Pulp Fiction, I had to boot it out of my top 5th, and I washed my hands of Quentin Tarantino. I've had enough. Even though another movie he made soon after Pulp Fiction, it was another favorite of mine, From Dusk Till Dawn, which again addresses turning away from God and what you do in the face of spiritual warfare, demonic warfare, and that kind of thing. And he did it in a way that was clever. He introduced it in a way that you were not expecting it, which was really cool. But, yeah, I just, that's not something I'm going to allow, is pedophilia apologetics, especially how guilty Hollywood is. The casting couch is a joke. It's so common. It's a joke. They laugh at it. And Polanski was one of them. It was, and again, Polanski is on the run. The other one got acquitted. One of the Steins. What's going on here? Yeah, I mean, anyway, yeah. I said I was gonna keep it light. I just can't seem to help myself. Anyway, so yeah, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. It slipped into the number 5 slot in my all-time favorites. But after watching with you guys and doing a critical review of it, I got to say, I got to start being more honest with myself. And I've got to boot that one out of my top 5 too now. If we look at Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, as wonderful as it was, several times it did say GD in that movie. Okay, but that's not in itself something I'm going to knock it out of its plot for. But the fact that there was all these other things that were taking place, including, I mean, the CRT thing I mentioned, and all these other live commentaries I made. But also, if you think about it, in essence, this is a movie about a husband that is going through all this adventure to go back to his family for Thanksgiving, which sounds heartwarming and nice, and it is. It's quite heartwarming. I get moved every time I watch that movie. But what is it saying? Using Boolean logic, Aristotelian logic. The opposite of that is the rest of the time he's away from his family. So subconsciously, without us even realizing it, it's normalizing, it's making it look grand, romanticizing even. The idea that it's okay to live away from your family for the most part of your life for the sake of making money. Who Moved My Cheese was a required college reading. And it's basically, the book starts, what a propaganda piece, horrendous propaganda piece. Who Moved My Cheese? Required reading, university, the commies. It starts by claiming that cheese can represent whatever you treasure, to use a biblical term, whatever you treasure, whatever your heart's desire, the thing that you value the most. And, you know, it talks about that. It dedicates a chapter or two to that idea. Cheese can represent that. And then suddenly, the rest of the book is about how you have to migrate. You have to move in order to stay alive financially. You have to be displaced. You have to become a refugee if you want to stay alive. Isn't that interesting? Especially now in retrospect, right? So that's what planes, trains, and automobiles represents. The broken home for the sake of filthy lucre. From Titus. Filthy lucre's sake. Beware the gainsayers, especially those of the circumcision, for they will, corrupt homes or something to that effect, for filthy lucre's sake. I can't quite remember. It's Titus 1. I should look it up right now as I'm talking about it. But yeah, actually, I mean, but if I do that, I'm going to be tempted to change the subject. Again, I originally was going to do the Crusades. I intentionally changed it because I want to keep it light. So if I look up that Titus reference, I'm going to be tempted to address this topic that they keep pulling me back into, like a Heckle and Jekyll. I've unsubscribed them, but they keep showing up on my YouTube homepage, and there was nothing else to watch yesterday. So, and every time I do this, I regret it. I made the mistake of clicking on it to watch it, and sure enough, they're on with their facetious Zionism, insulting anyone that says anything true about formerly God's chosen children. No, the old covenant, to put in perspective. You know, so I'm tempted, to talk about that, but I'm doing my best to bite my tongue and not to. But next Sunday, I think I will do the Crusades. That needs to be addressed because we're this dichotomies on www that we're being forced into. I mean, it's a problem. For example, I've not come to destroy the law. I've come to fulfill the law. What does that mean? How about this one? When Jesus tells us to keep the commandments, and he lists a number of the 10 commandments. He doesn't cite all 10 commandments, by the way. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's about 7 of them. 2 that he omits, which are interesting enough, are the first and second commandments. And we all know what those are, right? The first and second commandments. Another one he omits, which I find fascinating, is keep the Sabbath. So, I've come to fulfill the law. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. These are things that Jesus Christ himself are cited for saying. I've been attacked recently, treated with absolute disdain as an enemy of the state for saying the Bible, quote, repent for the kingdom of heaven is at hand, at a Jew who was being confrontational with me. Now, that person, a Jew, being confrontational with me, wasn't rebuked, wasn't corrected. I instead was attacked, insulted, slandered, called an anti-Semite, and blocked for 24 hours by a said Christian apologist who was more of an apologist for Freemasons, the Catholic Church, and the Illuminati, Bill Gates, and of course is an extreme Zionist. Where's Christ in all that? Where's Jesus Christ in all that? Said Christian apologist. Where's Jesus Christ when you got Heckle and Jekyll going on, spending tons of time? I see, I guess I'll keep it light. I can't just keep my mouth shut. Sorry, guys. I just can't help myself. Yeah, but when Heckle and Jekyll are spending hours counting their money, counting their, what do they call it? The YouTube, the YouTube financials, the super talks or whatever you call it, super chats, bragging about if someone just gave them a car. Are they libtards or what? I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, I mean, and that's the bottom line, and that's where I'm at. I'm basically against it, facing starvation. I've been ostracized from this circle and that circle for speaking these truths. And I try to do it in a loving way. I do it in person. When they ignore me, I try to emphasize it. And if not, then I try to take it to an authority, if that exists. With www, the authority is quite evil, actually. But there is, outside of the platform itself and their modulators, their Gestapo, there is no one to turn to. So at that point, you got to do the third step, which is take it publicly, take it before the church. So, yeah, I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm trying to warn people, call them out. I do address them in private when I can. With Heckle and Jekyll, I have no private contact information, so that's not an option. Christian Prince, the same thing. I tried to wait for a stream where he allows others and Muslims to come on, and I did, and I addressed them. And he gave me this site where I can allegedly communicate with him, and that was Mission Impossible. Next thing I know, he's like Christian bashing like there's no tomorrow. Him and what's his name are going back and forth. So this is something that's insane. I mean, I've dedicated my life, literally dedicating my life to the very end. I pray. To the very end, I pray that I will not turn my back on God again. And when I say again, I feel like I've missed the calling. I feel like I should have been working at the patriarchate, but I let fear get the best of me there. Hello, Hans, how are you doing? Truly, Christ is risen. But also, first time I went to seminary, I had all these familial problems. My father was shot up by Crips, and that led into basically them losing all their possessions and all that. So I left seminary early to help that situation, and I got chased off at knife threat. My mother, they both got injured by the incident, and my mother lying in a hospital bed. I got a family member calling in the hospital, yelling that if Nick doesn't leave, I'm going to kill him. And this was also right after publicly threatening me with a knife. I mean, this family member, this psychopath, has been a problem since childhood. Unfortunately, my parents never committed her or never put her in prison as an adult. And my mother, laying in the hospital bed, all she could do was look at me and say, "You better leave." Instead of doing what should have, and I should have manned up and said, "No, she needs to go to prison. I need to take care of business here and get this restaurant going." Unfortunately, it was my father bucking knee to her will too. I left, and then she devastated everything. The family lost everything. The only thing that was survived was my own inheritance, ironically. And that was because of a FEMA loan. We couldn't get out of FEMA loan. FEMA is a horrendous organization. Everything bad you hear about FEMA is true. Yeah, and that's still ongoing. But she had found a way to milk that too. It should have been out of debt by now, that FEMA loan. It wasn't, because she was milking it. And then stole what was left out of it, sold it illegally, and stole the last of my inheritance, which was about 20 grand. Right now, I could have fixed this home. I wasn't sure if I was going to stream tonight. I have crazy leaks in my ceiling. I mean, it's a game of where the next leak is. I've literally got leaks on outlets and whatnots on my desk. And so, yeah, and that sounds pathetic, I know, but that's the situation I'm in. And I've spent like nearly 2 decades information and out of trying to professionally better myself, bought into this whole college thing, got all kinds of experience. My CV, people tell me regularly I need to tone it down. Yeah, but yeah, and despite that, I've got this thing where I can't find proper employment. Right now I teach online, but my clientele dwindles. I teach Chinese, and I refuse to buckle my own knee there when it comes to their antics. So yeah, I'm living around my means and all that. So yeah, definitely, the oppression is real, and family can hurt you. I mean, even Christ says you cannot convert your own home, and I experienced that the first time I went to seminary when they all turned on me, and they're all religious, but they all were freaking out because I was going to seminary. Yeah, but yeah, here we are. Just recently, these family members. Yeah, I mean, you should hear the things they're saying about Christ himself. I mean, it's just bad. It's just bad. Not all of them are like that, but it certainly feels like it. It certainly feels like, especially when dwindling away and they all not only turn their back on you, but abuse you in the process. Make a game of it. Thank you, Giv. Appreciate that. It is flat. When you guys, and especially I can't thank you enough. Forgive me for putting you on the spot again, but yeah, you're just amazing. Thank you for all you do for me and for others as well. You are the backbone of those of us who are putting ourselves on a line, or not, doing the rhetoric. We're not Zionists or Trump-evers or whatever you call it, or whatever mainstream ideology gets you thousands and thousands of followers. We're not selling out. And people like you, especially you, are the ones that keep us going. I mean, thank you doesn't do it. Yeah, but Christ says, if I'm doing this, then what more should you expect, right? I mean, they crucified the Messiah, amongst other things. Yeah. So, yeah, and this is, again, don't take this the wrong way. Just keep it real. This is why we venerate the church fathers. We keep their memory. We keep their memory. We talk about them because they exemplify exactly this. Like Job of the Old Testament. It's something that nobody else wants to talk about for some reason, which I find is fascinating. They talk about every other thing in the Old Testament. They don't talk about Job. Why not? He should be the epitome, especially now, of what they're referencing when it comes to the Old Covenant, the Old Testament. But Father Arseny, a Russian who went in the Gulag for being Christian. It's a book they can find online. It's a good read. It's actually testimonies from everyone else. It's a biography, but not an autobiography. It's what people witnessed and observed in him. And the things that man went through in the Russian Gulag, yet had joy in his heart the entire time. I mean, I get chills just thinking about it. It's quite moving. And for Mormons, he exemplifies that. I mean, the guy, as he publicly says, unfortunately, you got to ring your own bells, but that's part of the process. Catholic Saint Francis of Assisi. I learned this from Aaron Rodgers, of all people, NFL quarterback. He cited him in the 500 Club interview, I think it was, about over a decade ago. Anyway, he says, preach the gospel always, use words if you have to. And I think that's misused. I think that's used to silence people, and I get the humility thing. But yeah, I think it's important to use words. I think it's important to do what we're doing. Yeah. So, and he does, for moments, he does something that not many other, again, it's not a mainstream topic, Mormonism. But I've learned so much. It's profound what he's doing. He's doing amazing work. Yet, look at what he's being subjected to. It's not disheartening. It's actually ironically inspiring. And that's the thing. And that's the thing with the saints. We look at their example. Just this past week, the Orthodox Church celebrated Andrew, the first called, the first of the apostles, and also Saint Catherine of Alexandria. Now, this is a young lady who, during, you can imagine, ancient time, I think she's in the 4th century, give or take, around the early church, around there. She basically took on the Egyptian emperor. Can you imagine that? A young lady, a female, entering court and challenging the Egyptian emperor. And, well, she basically, she converted to Christianity, and she was enlightened, and she had a dream that she was married to Christ. And when she woke up, she found a ring on her finger. Make of that what you will. I know some people struggle with these kinds of miracles. I think people who struggle with those kinds of miracles, I find that tragic. I find that in a state of disbelief, the greatest sin. I mean, do those people also not believe in the parting of the sea? Or is that Old Testament? That's okay. See what I mean? They kind of pick and choose miracles, which is kind of fascinating. It's kind of revealing. And I'm still going back to the Fourth Crusade, not the Crusades movie thing. But yeah, I mean, it is. It's tragic. People that struggle with these kinds of miracles. I'm not saying you should believe every Tom, Dick, and Harry, as we say, that comes along and says, for example, I'm Jesus. No, you know. But yeah, to denounce everything just cause, or because it's part of one organization, that, not to mention it, the Christian church, the founding Christian church, your roots, it's troubling. But also, like Christian scripture says, it's a state of disbelief. It's a state of spiritual corruption. It's tragic. It's sad to see. I pray that those people, get over that their bias, the prejudice, and they open their hearts to these miracles that are abundant, that will strengthen their faith. So anyway, the point is, going back to the story. She naturally, once you have that kind of miracle in your life, and to ring my own bell, just so you'll know, I've had a similar miracle in my life. I've also, ironically, been put in the path of a militant atheist from California, of all things, who also had a similar miracle. And he had to confide it to me. He had to, one-on-one tell me his story and share it with me in a very profound way, because he needed it confirmed. Was it real? Was this a miracle? A militant atheist out of California. Imagine that. I mean, God does work in mysterious ways. So this young lady, again, 4th century, give or take, I don't know, early church, somewhere around there, challenges the court, the Egyptian court. And, well, he finds it amusing. And so he's like, okay, well, let's make a game of this. And so he puts his wizards, his advisors, the trumpet advisors, his cabinet. He challenges her to a debate, as we see in these apologist circles. A debate. Let's have a debate. Let's see who's right. And one by one, a little girl destroys them, as they say, these apologist commercials, destroys them, right? They're all baffled, confounded, silenced, one by one. Of course, he's irate now, and so he imprisons her. And she will not denounce Jesus Christ, of course. I'm going to say, of course, it's easy, actually, even after miracles, I would imagine, to denounce Christ. To be even like Peter. I mean, Peter's an example, right? We watched the making of, actually a couple of different ways, of him denouncing Christ 3 times, the magic number, 3 times. So, and he is the rock. So there you go. Got to do it.
There you go. There you go. So there you go.
But yeah, so basically now she's in prison, refusing to denounce Christ. And lo and behold, people are marveled by her. Now she's starting to proselytize, to say she's converting, she's evangelizing, she's converting her prison keepers. The king's now super irate, And he starts torturing her, all kinds of horrendous torture, stripping her naked to embarrass her, very Muslim style, right? And whipping her and these kinds of things. She refuses to denounce Christ. And now the emperor's wife, king's wife, whatever, she's now fascinated. She goes to talk to her. She becomes Christian. Oy vey. Okay. And so, yeah, the king's had enough. And so now he puts her on what we call the wheel, this spiky wheel, and he tortures her and basically, kills her that way in a horrific manner. But centuries upon centuries upon centuries later, her example still inspires. You should know she's one of the greatest saints in the Orthodox faith. So yeah, here we are. The lockdown. Yeah. And all these things, now the green agenda and so on, all these horrendous things are putting on it. World War III, they're doing their best to have it. Thank you, Israel, State of Israel, and Muslims, and Russians, and whoever else is partaking in this, U.S., so I'll leave them out. It's just frustrating. I mean, it's extremely unnecessary, all of this. If we would just stop and start being more Christian. We have to be completely Christian. I'm not saying you shouldn't be. You should be. But just, a good amount of Christianity. And the world will be so much better. Yet, here we are. We're all being made to suffer for filthy lucre's sake. Absolute extreme indulgence. Insane greed. It's never enough. They want a certain population, and they want everything catered to them by robots. They want all our intellectual property documented in their hard drives, or www666 in Hebrew. Our indentured servitude, which I'm part of, but I'm glad to do it because I'm preaching the gospel, so to speak. I'm exposing them as my mission so they can have it and share it and enjoy it all they want. And they probably will. I could picture the evil ones watching my stuff and cackling. He's right. Yes, we got one over on them. Little do they know they've already lost. And it's a shame. It's tragic. It's disturbing. It makes me nauseous thinking about it. And unfortunately, as I speak, I am thinking of some of my own family members in the process who have completely ostracized me. And to be fair, they have supported me. Like, for example, one of them's a Freemason, president of his own chapter. And he actually supported me during my financial supported me at a time when I refused to take handouts because I don't want to be controlled, just so you'll know. Ego, yeah, part of it, but I didn't want to be controlled, so I refused to take handouts from the government or anything like that. Was eating leftover food, basically food that was being thrown away was what I was surviving off of. I literally had no money. I was staying in a monastery at the time. They didn't have a meal plan there. It was a monastery set up for international theologians studying theology. And at that time, when I couldn't find employment, this was in Greece. I mean, Greece was undergoing its historical economic crisis before the lockdown. I don't want to get into that. I'll get sidetracked there. So, and again, like I said, I historically, even before that, for years, I can't even get a job at McDonald's. It's embarrassing to admit, but I don't get it. So this was a blessing, teaching online. This is literally what I wanted to do since I was a child. Not exactly how I envisioned it. I envisioned myself in a classroom, a traditional brick and mortar, as they say, teacher, but I'll take it. And it's been a blessing for years to be able to do this. And not only that, reaching out to communist Chinese children. Kitty lace and glory be to God in all things. So, I've had some blessings in my life. I've had support from them. The other one that I mentioned, she actually sent me shoes. You know, you can't find shoes in my size in Greece for some reason. You know, I don't get it. Um, yeah, I got Yabba Dabba Doo feet. So, I mean, so yeah, they do these great things, but then the rest of it is just absolute torture, and they enjoy it. They relish it. They relish being anti-Christian. It's disturbing. It's heartbreaking because they're my loved ones. But outside of that, it's like insane. And that's where we're at these days. I mean, it's biblical. Yeah, so I went off on all these crazy tangents, including the topic I said I wasn't going to do, but I can't help myself. But I'm going to cover that in more detail next week. I have to. My apologies. I hate talking about it, but it's a must. One, because I'm annoyed, so they're prodding me to do it, and I'm trying to stay away from the angry spirit, because now they're prodding me into basically turning me into what they want to. You know, like a Nazi. They are forming me into a Nazi. And that goes to show how much of mass media moonies they are, servants of the evil ones. That is what the evil ones do. They want, just like the Star Wars, the original Star Wars thing, you know, turn to the dark side. This is the spiritual warfare via mass media, especially through the internet. It's all insightful. And when I say insightful, let me put it in chat so you can understand what I mean. It's ironic. I accidentally used the spelling for one of the Christian apologists who was on my channel as describing him. But insightful as in triggering, the wrong use of triggering these days. There's some truth into the definition, but trigger is not supposed to be going around provoking people into anger so you can have conflict, ongoing conflict, and nothing but. A trigger is just a psychological device that's innate. In other words, like I posted recently, I just recently watched this video of 1980s arcades. And as I was watching it, I was watching these video games that I'd forgotten. And I was going through all these emotions. In other words, all these emotions were being triggered by a visual audio. And I was reliving, as I was happening, these moments in life, what was going on in my life. And those same emotions I was having back then were now being recreated through an audio-visual memory. That is what technically, clinically, a trigger actually means. Yet, and here we are in the 21st century, late 20-teens especially, misusing the word trigger for the sake of, I triggered you, I got you, like an angry, evil transformation. What another word that they're making popular these days is a manifestation, a fabricated manifestation. And that's what these quote-unquote apologists are trying to do to me and those like me, speaking the truth about all the evil ones, including those that should have repented from 2,000 years ago, according to Jesus Christ and St. John the Baptizer. Repent, for the kingdom is at hand. Foaming at the mouth because I quoted scripture. I mean, yeah, it's disturbing. So, judge them by their fruits. I'm trying to not allow them to get the best of me, but I mean, I'm human after all. That's why Jesus Christ tells us at some point, you got to dust your feet. You got to cut off, pluck out. And that's what I've done. But like I said, Yubu puts them on my thing. There was nothing else to do. I made a mistake. And as soon as I did, clicked on, there they are. Rawr, rawr. And the followed up the next day with calling Stu Peters a Nazi. Stu Peters, the one person that was one of the few that was fighting the lethal serums, the lockdown, putting his livelihood on the line. He's a Nazi. Why don't they look at the Burla, CEO of Pfizer, his nothing background, and his genocide? Why aren't they calling for Nuremberg 2.0? Do they find Nuremberg 2.0 offensive? Do they think that's genocidal? If so, then aren't they saying that Nuremberg 1.0 was genocidal? Or is that okay because that was headed by the Jews, and then that's okay? So where's the Nuremberg 2.0? Why isn't Burla, being a Jew, being head of CEO, Pfizer, being held accountable? Or Trump, Mr. Project Warp Speed, being held accountable? Where is RFK? He was one of the very few, at least politicians, the only politician I know of, that was being honest about the lethal serums publicly. Where is his position in Trump's cabinet? Again, judging by the fruits, these are Zionists. They're not speaking anything good for you. Yeah, they're attacking Muslims. Insightful. They're inciting Muslims. Literally, one of their shticks is to destroy the Quran. Why? To what end? Because they're insightful. They want World War III. They want the Muslims that have been saturated throughout the entire planet, not just Europe. And the stupid Europeans. There's the rhetoric. America, South America, of course Africa, of course Asia, all over the world. Australia, by the way, has been saturated with Muslims. We saw what happened there during the lockdown. And Chinese, communist Chinese. They've taken over. You're not allowed to talk about that publicly, right? Because that's bigoted. BRICS has taken over, people. BRICS has taken over. I can't say that enough. And it's a major problem. BRICS has taken over, and it's a major problem. And those that have thousands of quote-unquote followers online are either promoting them or they're promoting the other side, this false dichotomy. Who's leading you to Jesus Christ? Who of them is leading you to Jesus Christ? Instead, they get angry when someone says, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. They get burned by Scripture. What does that tell you? I have not come to destroy the law. I've come to fulfill it. We are the new covenant. The Jews need to be grafting onto us. The Muslims need to be repenting too. All of them. The Buddhists, the Hindus, the Taoists, the atheists, all of them need to be repenting. All right. So, okay, let's see. Again, the link to come up, if you want to come up, is on the, is pinned in chat. Let me go and share it again now. We're going to do a light watch party for the greatest commandment, which is referring to the greatest of two commandments, particularly love your neighbor as you love yourself. And part of, if you're coddling someone, you're not loving them. If someone's being a sodomite who hates the church, and whose favorite song is "Take Me to Church" from a decade ago, playing it over and over again in the video, you've got a problem. And by saying, "Oh, it's okay, love is love," that's not loving him. That's apathy. Apathy is the opposite of love. It's not hate. I hate evil. That shows passion. That shows feelings. That shows concern. That shows an interest for the well-being of others. I don't care is the opposite of love. The absence of God's love, they say, is hell. This is from the church fathers. Am I lying? What's the worst thing you could do to a child? Spank them, like the Bible says? Spare the rod, spoil the child? Or is it to ignore it, to not even care, to leave it to its own devices? Laissez-faire. So disturbing. I'm sorry, getting off another tangent. Okay. So I feel like I've ranted enough. I've covered more than I wanted to, actually. I can't help myself. I've got no filter. But I think with that, we should probably get to the movies. Again, this is one I haven't seen myself yet. It's a Cathedral Films film, 1939. The last one that some of you got to see, but unfortunately not everyone, was Breakfast at Tiffany's in 1940. Again, Breakfast at Tiffany's was promoting prostitution, promiscuity, infidelity, premarital sex, this love of money. The gender issues came up. Yeah, the whole feminism, right? She's like, I'm my own person. I'm a free spirit. Controlling me is oppression, kind of thing, right? All these things was promoted in a 1940 film. This is before World War II, before the 60s communist revolution. before all of that. There was a communist party, communist political party in the United States before World War II. There was also a Nazi political party, not Nazis, but a political party before World War II in the United States. This is what freedom of speech gets you, by the way. It gets you the Satanic Church of California. It gets you all this evil stuff. Now, Lloyd's doing this thing about how the church fathers, the founding fathers, interesting. They've titled those the founding fathers. And we don't talk about the church fathers in the West. That's kind of revealing it. But he's talked about and shared some letters between each other, particularly these certain Christians. And it says, you know what, they were Christian at some point, but then there's some issues later that he's going to cover. But why isn't Jesus Christ or Christianity talked about at all in the Bill of Rights, in the Constitution, any of the actual documents? I mean, God represents anything. Ask a Satanist. They call Satan God. Ask a Muslim, especially these days. They call Allah God, right? God is a title, it's not a name. I mean, the Freemasons called the Almighty Architect Jebulon, right? They call him God. It's God, I should say. Baphomet. So where is Jesus Christ? Where's Christianity in those documents? That's the problem. We don't say what we mean and mean what we say. But we got to do the first part, say what we mean. Freedom of speech. Well, freedom of speech got us Jackass movies. The Kardashians. On and on. And all this Christian bashing. That's existed over a century, not only in Hollywood. That's what I'm focusing on is Hollywood, but it's more than just Hollywood for sure. Or show all over the radio, all over print, TV series, yeah, all over mass media, internet for show. Thanks, good, good rant. I appreciate when you guys tell me that. So let's get to the movie. I encourage you people, to be bold, to have faith in Christ, not Trump. And it's interesting, again, I got to go here. Isn't it interesting that before Trump won an election, I used to say, despite all the cheating, the not right lost the election anyway? That's so comical. But all of a sudden now everyone, and this is a worldwide phenomenon, by the way, everyone has hope. Not before that. They didn't have hope in Jesus Christ. Now they have hope in Trump. I mean, this is palpable, people. Think about it. Get real about it. Put your faith in Christ above all else, especially above Trump, Mr. Project Warp Speed Lockdown, who won't even have RFK in his cabinet. He should have been vice president. Someone who's would have held people accountable, at least some people to some degree. Quite appropriately so. The lockdown continues. We've got forced masking still in schools, still in rest homes, nursing homes. The Pfizer still making buku bucks, pushing their latest serums. No accountability whatsoever. What the hell's going on here? Kitty Lace. Lord have mercy. All right. So let me go ahead and pull this up. Let me see. I like this view. And there's actually, you know what? There's no copyrights on this one. If YouTube strikes me for this one too, God have mercy on their souls. God, forgive me for being vain there, but I'm quite sick of all the common Nazi pagan censorship. All right. Are you back, Give? Should I start? I don't want to start without you. So yeah. And by the way, again, the link to join is on chat. In chat, let me see if nobody on Rumble. Okay. So, and by the way, I'm having an issue with Rumble. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. All right. I'm having an issue with Rumble, people. Unfortunately, Rumble's been compromised. Gav's been compromised. Andrew Torba was, called up before Congress, I think a year or two ago. So, and they started acting shady. I started going there after Fascist Book kicked me off. And yeah, there is definitely a Nazi element. I mean, talk about free speech, but he censors a lot of it. So whatever. But certainly, I mean, I knew everything about all the stuff that was going to happen because of the whistleblowers that were on Gab. I knew it months before it happened. It was going to happen. I knew all the details, and it all came to fruition. All these serums and all these things. How many times we already knew that there was going to be multiple serums. We already knew that before they even unveiled the serum. We knew there was going to be multiple serums because of the whistleblowers. And that was Gab. That was free speech. And look what they did to Gab. We've got Heckle and Jekyll calling one of the star, let's say, members of Gab, Drew Peters, who was Stu Peters, who was fighting this fascism, this 21st century genocide. They're calling him a Nazi. Why? Because they're Zionists. Are they again leading into Christ, or are they undermining us, all of us? Kitty and Lace, thousands of followers, tons of money thrown at them. That's of the world. All right, enough of that. God bless you all. Let's watch. You feel free to come up at any time, and I'll be posting comments, and I'll be making this video available in full in its entirety without interruption on YouTube afterward as well too. Enjoy.
Blessed be thou, O Lord God of the universe, who hast given this bird wisdom to distinguish day from night. That's gratitude. You do a good deed, and what's your reward? Exactly.
Is this your idea of a joke?
Have you forgotten what happened Sabbath before last between here and Jericho? 200 zealots crucified for bearing arms. 200 crosses against the sky.
And a few Roman soldiers with a dagger like this in their hearts.
Yes, Romans can be killed too, like other men. But we won't break the power of Rome by wearing knives in our sleeves. Orders from Jerusalem are to keep our weapons concealed from now on. Until we need them. There. That'll be safer there with mine. Here, let me help you. You'll be safer, too.
Big brother.
Oh, forget that. I'm not talking to you as your brother now. Wasn't I chosen head of the zealots in this village?
Yes, Joel, but you...
Then I mean to be obeyed. The lion doesn't bare his fangs until he's ready to strike. Come on.
Oh,
Please.
what do you want?
Water. To wash it.
You know it's...
Forbidden for us to speak, yes, but a beggar can speak to anyone. Your lips are like a thread of scarlet, and your mouth is comely. You're altogether beautiful, my love.
Joel, you shouldn't say such
What's from the
things.
Song of Solomon?
I know, but... Well, that's enough, isn't it?
No, there's much more. I'll say it all for you.
Oh, no, no. Not now.
Yalla, yalla. I'll finish the threshing this morning.
I'd like to be working in the fields instead of...
Work in the fields, you, the scholar of the family?
Scholar.
Joel!
I found him by the road at dawn. He had bound up his wound and was able to give me the name of his village, which lies about 1 league to the north. More than that, he hadn't a straight to say.
That's good. It's good to be among friends after the Romans.
Romans?
They arrested me, but I couldn't pay the tax. A chain on my wrist. Then I stumbled and fell. A soldier drew his sword. Now I have no hand.
The dogs, the filthy heathen.
Be warned, they are coming.
But why? What is this tax you speak of?
You haven't heard? All Judea is being taxed in punishment of the recent revolt.
We must drive these Roman beasts out of our land.
But what can we do? We're without a leader to turn to. We're helpless. A nation without a king is a nation lost.
A nation lost. He's right.
It looks as if we'll need our weapons. Call the zealots together and we'll...
Wait, Zadok.
Wait. What for? You organized the zealots in this village. You preach resistance to Rome, yet now you say...
We're not ready to resist. Judea was a nation once. Someday she will be again. I say wait and work for that day. Go on to the fields. I'll tell Father of this.
Who is it? I can't see. Maybe you don't know the man I mean.
But I do. A carpenter from Nazareth. What good thing ever came out of Nazareth?
Well, they say he's created a great stir among the people of Galilee.
A trickster.
What's the news from the north? The best news is that I left the stiffness of my limbs at the hot springs of Tiberias. What about the new tax? Tax? Now, let me see. I did hear something about a tax. Oh, but let me tell you this. After the first day, I could move one finger. The second day, 2 fingers. And the third day...
We know. 3 fingers. But what news?
Yes, did you see any soldiers on the road?
Oh, there are always soldiers on the road. But then my arms and my legs, they work.
Did you meet any robbers?
No robbers.
You go all the way to Tiberias, and you've nothing to report.
Oh, I didn't say that.
Oh, come, tell us, Nathan.
Come, Nathan, tell us the news. What if I were to tell you that a king had appeared in Israel? A king? Did you see him? No, I didn't see him. But one of his followers, a man called John, told me that his master would soon proclaim himself king of the Jews.
Are you sure?
Is it true, Nathan? Well, I believe this man, John. He spoke with conviction. He told me that his master had gathered a multitude around him and that they called him the Messiah.
Messiah? You speak of a king? A Messiah? Who is he? How do men call him?
Why, he's called Jesus, the son of Joseph, the Galilean.
So, that's the one, eh? As though we all hadn't heard of him, eh?
Maybe you don't know the man I mean.
But I do. A carpenter from Nazareth. What good thing ever came out of Nazareth?
Well, they say he's created a great stir among the people of Galilee.
A trickster. A magician. A preaching carpenter who breaks the laws of the Sabbath.
But his follower John says that he's well learned in the law.
Impossible. I'd like nothing better than to question him.
Maybe you'll have the chance. John said he would pass this way.
I hope so.
Nathan, do you believe in this man, Jesus?
Why? Because, he has the multitude with him. Hundreds of people who will soon become thousands, a veritable army.
An army for Israel.
Lamar! What a lucky chance our meeting like this.
I remembered it was the time of year to pick herbs.
Are you hurt? Well, at least you're here. Now I can tell you. You know, I think this is the first time in our lives we've ever been alone.
Yes.
Oh, don't be frightened.
I'm not.
Because we're betrothed, Tamar.
Betrothed?
Yes, that's what I had to tell you. Your father and mine have arranged our marriage. I heard them talking about it this morning.
Joel, is it true? Did your father tell you?
Not yet, but he will.
But I can't believe.
Well, that's quite logical. After all, in this whole village, you're the most beautiful, and I'm the most... well, at least the most intelligent.
Yes. Still, I can't believe that I'm to be your wife.
My wife. Oh, Tamar.
What, Joel?
Nothing, just Tamar. You know, a man's mind is like a house that's always building. He builds a room for every hope he has. One for his success, his fame, his dreams. One for his love for his country. But then he finds a woman he loves. He knows that the whole house is for her.
A woman isn't like that. Her heart is her house, and it's an empty house until her love walks in.
You go back by the ravine. I'll go through the fields.
It's true. Our village is not to escape the Romans. They're only a handful. They feel sure we won't attack them. They may be mistaken. What are we standing here for? Let's get back to the village. Find Joel. The Romans!
What's all the excitement?
Romans!
I'm glad I don't live in your village.
You'll feel the weight of their hands wherever you live.
Do nothing to rouse the Romans.
Do nothing. Why not fight?
We'll fight when the time comes, not now.
To the people of Judea, greetings from Herod, Tetrarch of Galilee, and from Pontius Pilate, procurator of Judea. Now hear ye, that whereas there have been disorders in the land, including armed strife against the rule of Rome, it is hereby decreed that the people of Judea shall pay an extraordinary tax, as follows. For each household, 5 shekels of silver, which shall be paid into the hands of the tax gatherer. You, as of this day,
We've already paid all taxes.
this is a special tax.
We're poor people, workmen and farmers. Where would we get silver? You know very well we won't have any silver until the harvest is over.
Peace, fellow. Your governors have already thought of that. Huh? Stop your sniveling. Whereas, if any man shall not be able to pay in silver coin, he shall be taken into protective custody and held. And held until his debt be discharged by the labor of his hands in the service of the state.
That means slavery, death in the Roman galleys. You talk of disorders. There'll be worse disorders.
Wait. What's your name?
Zadok, son of the scribe.
Zadok, son of the scribe. What are you howling about? Your father will pay your taxes. Scribes always have money. This done by order of Imperial Rome. Issued in the 4th month of the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius, Emperor. Oh, for the love of Jupiter, wipe your nose.
I'll be at my usual place in the square to receive payments in silver.
I come from my house prepared. Joel, my son, take this and pay it out to the last shekel. It is all I have. Let each man give according to his means.
Yes. You better come with me while I pay these vultures.
No.
Remember what I said. You know what it means to be a soldier?
No.
It means your feet hurt.
Jemuel.
Jemuel. Carpet merchant.
But this year I've only been selling little carpets.
Married?
5
children? Females.
Yes, this is for me, for my wife, and for my family. 1, 2, 3, 4. Any reduction for a married daughter?
How long married?
Well, she isn't exactly. We haven't.
Well?
She's going to be married very soon.
And she isn't married.
Yeah, but I've paid her dowry practically. Dog of dust. I'm only trying to save a little so I can help a less fortunate neighbor. Free.
In the name of Lamech, the scribe.
That's enough to pay for 10 households.
See that it does. Mark it on your slate. Doesn't your conscience ever hurt?
No, it's my feet.
What do you do for sore feet, fellow? Bathe them in water and anoint them with oil. Thanks, friend. Friend to a Roman?
These men were trying to escape over the wall.
Under arrest. Put a guard over them.
Bring them along.
Don't hold them. We'll pay the tax somehow. They tried to escape. That's a crime against Rome. Is it a crime to be poor? To love liberty? Enough. If you hadn't told me what to do for my feet, I'd send you along with them. So it's Zadok, the son of the scribe.
I don't suppose you'd fight a man without your sword.
No?
Oh, why'd you do it?
Keep you from making a fool of yourself?
I'll kill him for this. Stop talking nonsense. You still say do nothing?
Yes. You see only what's before your eyes. I'm trying to look beyond. If you can't understand that, at least obey orders, do you hear?
Zadok,
What is it, Nathan?
my purse is empty, but my heart is full. If a patriot should want to join with other patriots for the good of Israel,
And swear eternal enmity to Rome.
I swear.
By this covenant of blood, I declare Nathan the innkeeper our brother. From now on, his life, like ours, is given to freedom for Israel. I've called you together without telling my brother. I don't agree with his policy of waiting. I say attack a Roman anytime you can.
You're right. This is a time for action.
Yes, if we could set the prisoners free, we must set them free. Better to die than rot in the Roman galleys. Right. And you're all with me?
Yes.
Aye. Good. First, we must be sure that the centurion is well entertained this evening. You'll take care of that, Nathan.
With pleasure.
Then, when night has fallen, after the evening meal. Sarah. My mother's jewels.
Your father had them from his father and gave them to your mother when they were betrothed.
Father.
Blessed art thou, Lord, our God, King of the universe, who hath sanctified us with his commandments.
Amen. Amen.
My sons, this has been a day of sadness for our village, but it has its thread of joy. A thread that runs through all the tapestry of life. This thread must not be broken. I'm an old man full of years. It's time I saw my line carried on and my name perpetuated. Today, I talked with Jemuel, the father of Tamar, with regard to a marriage between our houses. The arrangements have been concluded. The betrothal will follow. I hope this pleases you, my son.
You mean I am to marry Tamar?
So Jemuel and I have decided. These jewels will be your gift to her.
Father, you say that Tamar and Zadok are to be...
Yes.
But I thought that It's usual for the older son to be married before the younger.
True. In fact, Jemuel first suggested that you should marry Tamar.
Well, then why?
But on consideration, realizing that you'd be many years in Jerusalem studying, Jemuel decided he'd rather see his grandchildren born here at home.
But Father...
This also fell in with my plans. Oh, time enough for you to marry when you've become a scribe and a rabbi of your people.
Well, then you mean that Tamar
will come to live in our house. She'll be a sister to you and a good wife to you, my son.
As you will, Father.
So be it. You'll drink to this betrothal. Joel. Blessed art thou, O Lord, our God, who giveth all good things. Blessed be the fruit of thy vineyards, the sun on the grape that bringeth to our lips this sweet refreshment.
You're drinking a good ale, my friend.
I can't neglect the hospitality of our good host.
But are you sure the prisoners are well guarded?
When I take prisoners, they don't escape alive.
Just the same, I've got an uncomfortable feeling.
It's that sour cabbage you eat.
No, I'm serious. I could smell danger.
You can't smell anything.
But I'm afraid.
You're always afraid. You've got the heart and the nose of a rabbit. These people won't make any trouble. Well, they might attack you.
Oh.
They won't attack the Roman Empire. That's me.
Come on.
You're crying. You know.
Yes. My father just told me.
We're not bound by our father's bargaining.
Yes, we are. Their word is Lord. What's given, it can't be broken.
Our love can't be broken.
Our love is great to us. The love of our fathers is greater.
Tama, I won't give you up. I want you.
I want you too, but
We'll go away together. Leave the village. We'll go tonight.
tonight? How could we? Where could we?
The fire in the square.
Yes, I did when you did it. Maybe I am, but at least the prisoners are free. You've gone behind my back, you.
Oh! In the name of Rome!
Centurion, go on each of you. All of you, go.
I knew it. I told you I smelled danger.
Stop your yapping. Claudian! Sir, you see, the birds have flown.
But, sir, I thought that the...
You thought. You mean you didn't think? You didn't see any men standing around the fire, did you? It was only a trick, and you... Well, why don't you speak?
Give me leave, and I'll put every man in this village to the sword.
Bloodthirsty, isn't he? Take your men to the inn. Stand guard over the silver.
I thought you said you never lost a prisoner.
Don't bother me. I'm thinking.
This escape is a disgrace to Rome.
I want those prisoners.
Yeah, but how can you...
Give them time. They'll come home to roost.
Not while you're here.
Of course not. We will withdraw from the village tomorrow. In a fortnight, we'll come back in force.
Dagger.
It's the weapon of zealots.
So it was their work.
In that case, when we come back, I'll let Claudian indulge his appetite for slaughter. We'll clean out this nest of vipers.
I must have dropped it outside.
You did. The centurion picked it up. I saw it in his hand. I heard him say we'll clean out this nest of vipers.
Then there's only one thing to do. Strike before he does. He'll wait until morning. The Romans don't like working in the dark.
He'll wait longer than that. He hasn't enough men to make his move now. The centurion's no fool. He's in no hurry. But sooner or later, he'll take revenge for this night's work.
Then why wait? We outnumber the Romans. What's the matter, Joel? Have you lost your nerve? You're supposed to be our leader, but you seem to have no stomach for doing anything. We need a new leader.
Pack of sheep threatened by wolves. And you want a new shepherd?
Yeah.
All right. But hear me first. I've said you do nothing. I've said wait. Not because my nerve was gone or my stomach was weak, but because I had an idea. Now listen. This morning, while most of you were in the fields, Nathan brought word of a certain man in the north, a Galilean, who's gathering the people around him. Multitudes who follow him and who already call him the King of the Jews. I had made up my mind to go and seek this man. For he may be the Messiah we've all been praying for. It seems to me this might accomplish more than killing a few Romans. For I believe that until we find a leader for the nation, none of us will be safe. None of us will be free. On my way, I meant to spread the word of revolt through the country as I passed, so that I might offer this man the strength of a nation. Now, that's what I had planned. It's for you to approve or disapprove. I stay or I go, as you decide.
This sword belonged to a man of my name who fought long ago in the army of the great warrior Judas Maccabeus. Take it and offer it to the man of Galilee. My allegiance goes with the sword.
Yes.
Aye. Swear by the sword.
Allegiance to the sword of the Maccabees.
And to him who accepts it.
Allegiance.
Everything's quiet.
Yes. Too quiet. I noticed you didn't come forward to lay hands on the sword.
No?
Why not?
Because I think you're going on a fool's errand?
Maybe you're right. A man's on a fool's errand from the time he's born. But someday, some man may find what we're all looking for. Peace, happiness, a chance to live.
You believe in what's going to happen. I believe in making it happen now.
Yes, you proved that tonight. And as a result, you brought danger on every man, woman, and child in this village. On Tamar.
Tamar? Why do you speak of her?
Because I...
Yeah. Now I remember. Always you looked at Tamar in the square. Your look followed her to the well in the evening.
Yes. I've loved her always. As I love her now.
Joel. Shadow. What is this evil I hear? Is it true that you coveted the woman I've chosen to be your brother's wife?
I said I loved her.
You will put this thought from your mind, this love from your heart.
That I can't do. If you could read my heart, you'd see. But you can't. All you know is your books of the law.
You speak to me so? To your father?
I know you could have me stoned for speaking like this. But for once, let there be truth between us. Joel, how can I give up a love that's as great as my love for Israel? You look at me, but you see only what you want me to be, not what I am.
I forbid you.
I'm not a scholar. I'm a patriot and a zealot.
You are a zealot.
Father, No, Zedek, this is my affair.
You belong to that party of violence.
Violence is the only answer to Rome. But it must be a nation's violence. What else can save us? Your scrolls are dust. Your law is dead.
Dead? Our law is alive with the breath of Moses and Abraham and all the prophets. Men were beasts until our law called them to be the chosen of the Lord. And the Lord himself came first into the minds of men through the word that is our law. If there is dust on our law, it is the dust of which the world was made.
Father, I know you speak from your heart. But my heart speaks too. And I don't want to go in anger.
You say go? Go where?
On a journey I've planned.
He's going to seek the Messiah. Some wonder worker Nathan told him about.
You mean the carpenter of Nazareth?
Yes.
You're going to seek him?
He may be the savior of our people.
If you go from my house, you will no longer be my son.
All my life I've obeyed you, without question. I can obey you no longer.
Then go. Go before I forget the years I loved and cherished you. Go before I curse you.
Here. Take it. Don't you realize what an excellent match I've made for you?
Yes, Father.
Lamech held out for 2 dozen goats. I'd have given him 3 dozen. You should rejoice at this betrothal.
Yes, Father.
Now, isn't every girl has a father with brains enough to marry her to a son of a scribe, huh?
No, Father.
Uh-huh. All right. You can go now. Hmm? Well, what is it? What is it? What is it?
Rachel says she heard the prisoners have escaped.
Escaped? Ay, there'll be more trouble over this. Why do you bring bad news into my house?
Joel. Oh, I'm willing to go with you anywhere. You were coming for me, weren't you? You said we'd leave the village tonight.
Tamar,
We are going.
I'm going alone.
Alone?
The village is in great danger. I must get help if I can. But it's more than that. It's greater than the life of any one village, of any one of us.
What are you saying?
I'm going in search of a man who may be the king that we need to lead us in open war against Rome.
War?
It must come if we're ever going to be anything but slaves.
Why? Why must there be war? Why must men fight? I don't care anything about this king. All I want is to be your wife and bear your children. That's all I... Oh, please take me with you.
I can't take you with me. No.
But it must be now. I may never have the courage again.
You must have courage. You must wait. Turn. If my journey's successful, there may be a chance. A new life for all of us. If this man is the Messiah, then there's hope of freedom for Israel.
If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me.
Who
is this man? I never saw him before, and yet he spoke to me as if he knew me.
That's how I felt the first time he spoke to me. It was as if he called me by my name, Andrew.
I'm seeking the man of Galilee. I heard he was near here.
You found him?
No, I mean Jesus of Nazareth. He who's called King of the Jews.
This is he.
But where are the multitudes that follow him?
He came here to escape the multitudes.
Then it is true. He has many followers.
They increase even as the flocks of a good shepherd.
But he has more the look of a poor pilgrim than a king.
His power is greater than that of any king, my friend.
What sort of power? You mean he's a magician, as some people say?
And he's been called worse names than that.
I must speak with him.
No, not now.
The Son of Man has come not to destroy men's lives, but to save them.
Jesus, thou Son of David, have mercy on me.
What wilt thou that I should do unto thee?
Lord, that I may receive my sight.
Believe ye that I am able to do this?
Yea, Lord.
Receive thy sight. Go thy way. Thy faith hath made thee whole.
My boy, my boy.
Master, I am a witness to your power. I pray that you will use it to draw our people together, that we may smite our enemies. There's need for haste. All the country to the south is overrun by the Romans. But there are thousands like me, sworn zealots, ready to join your forces. Master, we offer you our allegiance and our swords.
All they that take up the sword shall perish with the sword.
Put it away, my friend. He's the one man who has no use for it.
No use for it? You mean he isn't ready to take up arms?
He'll never take up arms.
I don't agree with Andrew. I feel as you do, that our master must soon draw the sword. Come along with us. You and I together may persuade him.
Which way do you go?
To Jerusalem, for the feast of the Passover.
My village lies on that road.
Then why not?
I would like to know more of this man, for he certainly has great authority.
He has indeed.
I'm Joel, son of Lamech, the scribe.
I am called Judas.
For what is a man profited if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? I say unto thee, arise, and take up thy bed, and go thy way. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God.
I'm convinced he'll never take up arms unless he's forced to.
You're right. You know, there were certain men before you joined us who tried to seize him and force him to be king.
Yes? What happened?
He sensed their purpose and escaped them.
If those men had succeeded, the history of Israel might have been changed.
But they did not succeed.
Over that farthest hill lies my village. The master will pass through it?
He has friends in every village.
I'm going on.
Halt! You'll camp here. Only this time, no blunders, Claudian. Post sentries around the wall. Only keep them out of sight. Come. Let anyone enter, but no one leaves the village tonight. You understand? You have your orders. I'll be at the inn. Keep a strict watch. These people have a fondness for striking in the dark. Celebration tonight?
Yes. It's the marriage of Zealot, son of the scribe.
Zealot? I remember him.
So he's getting married? To Tamar, daughter of Jamuel.
Toast to the bride. Well, why don't you drink?
Why, I've had enough. Most of the village thought that Tamar would marry Joel.
Who's Joel?
Zedek's brother.
Might he be the fellow I knocked down in the square? Yes?
Yes, why?
So Zedek stole his brother's bride.
Oh, no, it's all according to our custom of law.
You have some strange customs, you Israelites. Go on, drink.
You're only tasting your wine. You're trying to get me drunk so that I'll talk. But it's no use. I can't tell you anything.
Do you recognize this?
It's a dagger.
It's a little memento I picked up the night the prisoners escaped.
I don't know anything about that.
You don't happen to know to which one of your village zealots this dagger belongs?
Zealot? No, I told you.
You lie. You're probably one of them yourself. If I break your arm, you might talk.
Go ahead. Break my arm. Kill me. I still can't tell you anything.
There. You'll talk when the time comes. Bring more wine. We'll drink a toast to the bridegroom.
What feast is this?
The wedding feast of Tamar and Zadok, son of the scribe.
Wedding feast.
We dance, we dine, we break the bread, we drink the wine, the vows are said. The vows are said. pledges done. These two are wed, these two are one.
They are a fine couple. May they have strong sons as you have.
I have but one son.
Your pardon, Rabbi.
These two are one by sacred vow. Lord, lift thy son, and bless them now.
Long life to Tamar the bride.
And that is the bridegroom. Long life and happiness.
Joel. Shh. Listen to me. Don't disturb the wedding feast, but call the others together.
The others?
As many as you can, but not Saturday, you understand? At once, quiet.
Aye, Joel.
It's true. He did not accept the sword. That's why I've called you together. The time has come to force his hand. We can do it.
How, Joel?
He'll reach our village tonight or tomorrow. I can't go to him because he knows me, but one of us, you, Laban, will approach him saying that your father lies sick of a fever.
For what purpose?
He never refuses the sick. He'll follow where you lead him. You'll lead him here. The rest of you will wait here.
And when he comes?
We'll seize him and hold him prisoner. Then, together with Judas and other of his disciples who feel as I do that he should use his power, we'll proclaim him king.
You're sure he's worthy to be our king?
I'm sure. I've seen his great works. Everywhere people greet him as a savior. His disciples would die for him. All that's needed is for him to become a man of action.
It's a bold idea. That appeals to me. I say it's worth trying.
Aye. Then by tomorrow, there will be a king in Israel.
Dawn breaks. The night is done. Hail to the marriage day.
I must speak with you. The Roman is at the inn.
Why, I must leave you now to prepare to receive a guest.
Centurion, yes. He's trying to find out who the zealots are in our village. He remembered your name.
My name?
Yes. He had this. I stole it when he fell asleep.
I see. How many men is he with him this time?
He's alone.
Alone?
Yes.
Thanks, Nathan.
Those men are the disciples of Jesus. He must have come during the night. You know what to say when I give you the signal?
My father lies sick unto death. Come to my home, O master, and heal him.
Wait here.
Joel, you have returned.
Yes, I came back to
ask my forgiveness, to make your peace with your father, eh?
Yes,
Joel, don't forget the past. You will be my son again, eh? Come, we will drink a glass of wine together, and we'll go on with your life as I had planned it.
No, Father, I can't. I've set my hand to a certain task. So far, I've failed, and yet...
You set out to find the Nazarene?
I found him.
But you were disappointed in him. I told you there was no virtue in the man.
Oh, he has virtue, but he uses it only to preach his doctrine.
His doctrine? His blasphemy? What does that hypocrite know of the law?
He's not a hypocrite, Father. He believes what he teaches.
You defend him. Perhaps you believe in him.
No,
Father, I told you.
Yes, that's why you won't go back to my teaching. This man has poisoned your mind with his crazy rantings.
You're wrong.
I've heard his magic is such that it turns father against son, son against father.
Why do you judge him when you don't know him?
Well, I'd like to have him in judgment before me. I would soon show you.
Judge not, that ye be not judged.
Master.
So, our village is honored by the visit of a carpenter. Rabbi, ask you. Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?
What is written in the law? How readest thou?
Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy strength and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself.
Thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live.
And who is my neighbor?
A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho, and fell among thieves, which stripped him of his raiment, and wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. And by chance there came down a certain priest that way, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. And likewise a Levite, when he was at the place, came and looked on him, and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him, and went to him, and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own beast, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. And on the morrow, when he departed, he took out 2 pence, and gave them to the host, and said unto him, Take care of him, and whatsoever thou spendest more, when I come again, I will repay thee. Which now of these 3 thinkest thou was neighbor unto him that fell among thieves?
He that showed mercy on him.
Go and do thou likewise.
Master, my... Father.
Rabbi! Joel, come quickly. Something has happened at the inn. Your brother Zadok.
What? What do you say?
Come.
My son is dead.
At least he killed a foreigner before he died.
God of Israel, my day of joy is turned into night. My soul is broken within me.
Curse of Abraham on all your race. Infidel. Murderer.
The dog still lives. I leave him to you. We'll have to hide the Roman's body. I'll get help.
Go, and do thou likewise. Water.
Joel. Is this your way of taking vengeance?
Joel has sold us out to the Romans. That's why he left the village. His plan to set up a king was just sublime.
Please. Please. Let me pass. I come to take the body of my son. Almighty God, what curse is on my house? Joel, why do you kneel beside this man, the murderer of your brother?
This man is my brother also.
Florian. Disregard all previous orders. Spare the village. Arrest him.
I'm not hungry.
Can't eat.
Well, I can. Worst storm I ever saw in Jerusalem. But I've been locked up here for I don't know how many days.
What about me? I've had to guard you, haven't I? You made me miss the big spectacle on the hill today. Triple crucifixion. People fainted. All kinds of excitement. And I had to miss it because of you.
Bring in the one from outside. Will you accept the thanks of a Roman?
The thanks?
You saved my life.
Then why was I
arrested? Save you from your own people. Now, my friend, you're free.
Free? Free?
I should have come to you sooner. I've been on sick leave until today. Today, I was on duty.
You mean I can go? Now?
Wait. One thing I would know.
Yes?
Why did you risk your life for mine? I was your enemy, and yet you helped me. Why?
Because of a man I met and followed for a while. A great and simple man who taught me it was right to show mercy to anyone in distress.
To anyone?
Yes.
It's a strange teaching. Who is this man?
He's called Jesus of Nazareth.
Jesus of Nazareth? I owe my life to him. And I, just now, as he hung on the cross, I thrust this spear into his side
A soldier came to the village. He said he had orders from a centurion to bring me here. I didn't know why.
The centurion. Well, then he must have known somehow that you... We were... Oh, come on.
Oh, I waited, not knowing anything. Just waiting and hoping.
I'm free. We'll go back together.
To our village?
Of course.
No, Joel. They still hate you for helping the Romans. Even though the village was spared, they might kill you.
I must go back.
Oh, no.
Tamar, I went out seeking a leader. I know now that I found him. His truth is mine. I must share it.
But Joel,
He died today on the cross. If I die tomorrow, what does it matter? The truth and the teaching will go on.
Wow. I gotta say, that was quite impressed with this one. I like the first one we watched from Cathedral Films. I mean, the first one we watched, but I think this one was actually my favorite out of all the Cathedral Films we watched so far. I like the prize a lot too, but yeah, this one's good. I like this one a lot. I like this one a lot. All right, so yeah, let me put the link in the chat. If you want to come up and chat a bit, feel free. Yeah, well said. Yeah, give the gospel, give this one a 9. I've got to agree with that. Even though I'm a bit critical, I might go with more of an 8, 8.5, but definitely up there. I think it's worthy of a 9, 9.5. You're right. Yeah, no, thank you for being here and for all your contributions. Give the gospel of Jesus. You're awesome. God bless you, and all those like you. You know, yeah, can't thank you enough. Yeah, you keep me going. That's not an understatement. I appreciate it. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to say about this film. Yeah, first up, I got it wrong. Again, I haven't watched it before today. So when they were talking about the Zealots and the Roman Empire, I assumed they were talking about post-crucifixion and how the early Christians, the first Christians, were being hunted by the Roman Empire. And according to government documents still preserved, the Romans were calling those Christians pagans, which is an irony. Because like we see with pagan Muslims, who call Christians pagans, idol worshippers. The pagans of the time, the Roman Empire, were calling the Christians pagan. And for their practices, for continuing not only Judaic practices, Judaic worship. Again, the first Christians were Jews, former Jews. Were is the key word here. I know some people in these circles like to say Jesus was a Jew. Was. Old covenant, new covenant. Anyway, let's not get off on that tangent again. But yeah. So see, now I got on the tangent and I forgot what I was saying. Wait. What's the other notes? Maybe that'll help me remember. The other thing we talked about in the movie. Oh yeah, the tradition thing. Well, this is a pretty big discussion here. Yeah, basically. So let me share another personal anecdote here concerning the person I was talking about. That well, let me just go ahead and say, it'll be easier just to use the pronoun her, my sister, sibling, right? Cain and Abel. In my mind, she's she's got great moments, like I said. She sent me shoes, they even asked for them. Hard to find in Greece. Yeah, my size, that is. It's hard to find in the States, to be honest, but at any rate. So, things like that, they're nice, but yeah, without restating what I've already said, basically, this is someone who her parents, my parents, our parents, gave her whatever she wanted, but literally gave her whatever she wanted. And we weren't always rich. As I described before, early on, at least coming to the States, we were poor. But as I said, my parents, as a family, in our first restaurant, we were all working in. I was at the age of 6, 7. I was just learning English and taking orders, like taking the call-in orders and writing them down and working the register, giving change at that age. So working the counter. Yeah. So yeah, we all worked hard. They amassed not a small fortune, but definitely enough to be comfortable, or should have been, outside of some things. I'm not going to get off on too many tangents, but insurance laws or corrupt healthcare and all those kinds of things forced my father to come out of retirement. And because insurance companies wouldn't cover him because he was a smoker, insurance is a scam. Lord have mercy. But yeah, basically, and the FEMA thing, by the way, we had insurance for the building, but found out later we didn't get the extra insurance because the insurance policy doesn't cover quote unquote acts of God. This was insurance policy. How blasphemous! How dare they? There was a flood, a massive flood. This was before Katrina. This was a regional flood, similar to the one we just had just recently in the South. Things were devastated. Things had to be demolished and so on. The insurance company said, well, that's an act of God, therefore we're not going to cover it. How dare they? Jeez, God forgive them. Get your lesson, God have mercy. So, yeah, FEMA came in and took over, and we took the mandatory loan that keeps you in debt for the rest of your life, just to kind of get the restaurant going. So, anyway, I'm getting off tangents again. But yeah, that's why that survived. So my sister basically, she divorced. She divorced, I think it was before that time. And I was working the restaurant for years. It had already become mine. At the same time, because she was divorced, my parents already bequeathed her inheritance on yet another restaurant building. She turned around and sold that and gave it to, bought a house for herself. And let me tell you, someone who was given everything she wanted all her life, she had nothing but complaints all her life, including a lot of lies. I don't know what psychosis she has. I could name a few, but it's just bad. It's really bad. Stabbed my brother when she was young. My parents should have locked her up to do all of us a favor, but including her, especially her, a favor, to get professional help a long time ago. But yeah, coddled her instead and empowered her by giving whatever she wanted. Yeah. So yeah, basically, just to show you what a wretch she is. And forgive me, I'm going down. But just to demonstrate, I was actually there, and there's a reason I'm telling you this. It's with regards to our discussion today, and with regards to virtue and the type of characters that are undermining us, even family members, just like Scripture says. She actually dragged me along on the day that she chose to lose her virginity to someone that my father didn't like. She was in love with. He was a scumbag. He was a woman chaser, and that's why my father didn't like him. But just like the movie Fiddler on the Roof, where we had 3 daughters and 3 forms of marriage. The one went with the tradition, the arranged marriage. The other wanted to elope. The other was in betweener. And so, yeah, she basically was rebelling. She was like, okay, they had set her up with a nice young man, wealthy, loved her to death, but he was horrible, right? Why? Because that's what the parents wanted, and therefore we can't have that. Just like we saw Breakfast at Tiffany's 1940s film, she's a free spirit. You can't tell her what to do. That's controlling. That's oppressive. And so she rejected that. He went on to become very rich. But decades later, still heartbroken by my sister's rejection. I know that because he told me as a grown man, already married, had children, but yet felt compelled to say, sister, I'm still heartbroken from that. Nothing but complaints. Instead, she runs off with this scumbag, this womanizer. And she drags me along as an excuse to be able to sneak out of the house. And now I got to listen to this guy deflower my sister. I mean, that's not the worst of it, but it's not much worse, unfortunately. I'm not getting into that right now. But yeah, that's the spirit we're dealing with. So completely rebellious, vile, ethically backward, given everything she wanted, yet had nothing but complaints, played the victim the entire time, and with lies too. And why I brought up that thing? Because for the longest time, she played this, tradition thing. My father was making me choose a man. He wouldn't let me live. I was oppressed. Meanwhile, she's lying. She pretended to be a virgin when she was married, an arranged marriage. My father found another man after she graduated from high school for her, another one who gave her everything she wanted, including she had, as childhood dream, she had drawn out her dream house. This man actually put everything he already owned on the line to buy a restaurant and build from scratch on a bought lot the dream home from the ground up. And every time I visited her, she had everything she ever wanted. Yet she had nothing but complaints for him. Psychotic, man, psychotic. Abused her children. Her children, I've known crack moms. Crack mom children, like Tupac. Dear mama, you are appreciated. Crack mom children love their mothers. But my sister's children do everything they can to try to get away from her. I mean, what else do you need to say there? So, yeah, Jezebel spirit. Jezebel spirit is what, in a nutshell, you can put it that way. But yeah, there's more. When it's Cain and Abel, she's both. So she devoured everything. She took that inheritance, bought a home, turned around. After this flood, I went back to rework that restaurant because there was a restaurant equipment in there that was rusted. It was banned by the government because of the flood. It was deemed unhealthy, kind of like the lockdown stuff. So I couldn't use it. Ran out of startup capital and became desperate. Couldn't open up the restaurant. Anyways, instead of coming to help me out over at that restaurant, she needed money. She decided, and my father, by the way, like I said, at the same time was coming out of retirement because of the medical needs expenses. Amongst other things. Believe me, there's probably a list. And that goes without saying. Usually if you have one thing, you also have something else. It's not just one diagnosis. At any rate. So, but there's a spiritual corruptness there for sure, obviously. And that's the underlying problem. That's the biggest problem. So, in fact, there's a story my mom tells about how she saw a cross burn mark. And my mother blames herself for that. But she saw a cross burn mark on my sister's cheek. That's like Exorcist movie kind of scary stuff if you think about it. And before, when I heard the story, I thought, okay, you know what, my mom said that's what it is. But in retrospect, there may have been something else going on there. And forgive me for sounding like this, but I'm just, for the sake of disclosure and learning and so on, just keeping it real. So yeah, all goes back to now this one restaurant. She decided she wants to sell her house to buy now her restaurant. My father's opening up his restaurant. I'm having to go back to open up mine. Instead of helping, she gets jealous and wants to now sell her inheritance to open up a restaurant. That goes belly up because she's incompetent, lazy. And so I couldn't open up mine because of the reasons I just told you. So I turned around and sold it instead. Kept the building, but sold the business. Closed operation. Closed, lock key. But then turned around and went to help other family members, help my father who had just got shot by Crips, like I mentioned. That was after he came out of retirement, he got shot by Crips. So at that point, I had sold that business, like I told you, went to seminary, but I left seminary early to go help out with that family situation. She bans a restaurant to go, and this restaurant that my father opened that came out of retirement, he put everything on the line for it. It was a $1 million restaurant. It was the community. Years later, people from that community saw me. They're like, coming and thanking me for the kind of restaurant my father opened for that community, saying, quote unquote, he brought class to the city. So just to give you an idea, I don't want to name the politicians, but there were politicians that were aware of it. They didn't even live in the community. They lived in the other part of the state, but where the restaurant had traveled and it was their favorite restaurant, just to give you an idea. Anyway, so my sister comes along. My father gets shot. He survives it. The doctor operated on him 12 hours, called it a miracle he survived it. And this was a surgeon who also was a Vietnam veteran and did the same thing in the field. And when he, worked for 12 hours all night through the night to save my father, said it was a miracle he survived to begin with. But yeah, then my mother slips on his ramp of all things, breaks her ankle, and so now they're both bedridden. And my sister's taking over. My father asked me to come to help the situation. She was chasing me off, threatened me with a knife. And then, like I said, my mom's now in a hospital bed, broken ankle. And my sister's calling her at the hospital, telling her she better get rid of me or she's going to kill me. And so I left that situation with everything on the line. And lo and behold, naturally, all the things were sold off to keep that business going, to pay the debt. And she was destroying it. She completely obliterated that restaurant and the family inheritance. The only thing that was left, like I said, because of the female loan, was that inheritance that I told you about. I can't name the community, but because of the female loan, I was spared. But later, again, she ended up living with my parents, living off the government assistance, claiming that she was helping them. Meanwhile, my mother's cooking, cleaning, and the whole nine, abusing the system. And taking the rent money that's still coming from my inheritance, but I'm not saying anything, because my parents are alive, they're living off of it. That's fine. And then as I said, I was a Greek studying. Instead of doing all these things and chasing after these inheritance, I'm like, okay, whatever. But then she turns around and sells it, and then steals the money. Thankfully, I got some of that. I had to coerce her to get it. Some of it, but I only got a very small fraction of a small fraction I was left. I mean, the thing should have been paid off. I should have been okay by now, but could have, should have, would have. I'm done with that. In addition to that, of course, she's projecting. She's like calling me this, that, and the other, usurper, leech, and this and that. And it's gotten to the point where now I'm in a family home. It's a home that was owned by my grandparents that was given to all their children. And so practically a lot of people have a stake in it. And so out of desperation, this is where I ended up. That was not the plan, but I'm glad I came here. It's actually in our hometown. In our hometown, I have childhood friends. I have childhood friends for the first time in my life. I've lived a nomadic life all my life, moved every 2 years on average. And so when I came to this hometown with childhood friends, it's like a blessing, yet another blessing come true. First, the teaching, again, not the way I pictured it, but I'll take it, and I've enjoyed it. That's been a blessing. The family home, which was long gone forgotten. I never thought I'd be doing that. And also writing books, again, unpublished. I'm working on that. I've got, I don't want to say, I've got this issue where I can't really be doing my editing. It's quite counterproductive. I don't want to say what affliction I have. That's saying too much. But I have an affliction that's been the biggest problem. Otherwise, but at this point, I've got no choice. I'm just going to have to go ahead and bite the bullet and do the best I can, and just hopefully I can publish it without any money. But anyway, that's been a blessing. Being a writer, this family home, forgotten memory, and being a teacher. These are all these childhood dreams that I wanted. I feel, and it's vain for me to say, but I feel God has given me this, despite my despite my turning my back on him, leaving seminary early, and despite not years later taking the calling of working at the Patriarchate, he still provides. That's God's mercy. That's God's love. Unruly as we are, he still loves us. So, yeah, these are the kind of things that so when I say what's prompted this, I went off on this whole personal tangent, but what prompted this was a discussion about tradition. Remember going back now to this story about my sister. Had she married the man that she originally was set up with, she would have been happy and all set. Or at least she should have been. Nope. Instead, she did all these other crazy things. And then she got set up with yet another man who yet again gave her everything she wanted. Nope. Miserable. The man's horrible. He's a man. Oprah Winfrey, she's an apostle of Oprah Winfrey. And so he's a man. He's horrible. And divorced, destroyed her children, destroyed her own life, destroyed that man. Who cares about him as a man, right? Get over it, right? And here we are. All kinds of vileness, will not repent, has not zero integrity. That would be giving her too much credit. She has negative integrity. In other words, she projects and nothing but. And I've been praying, and some of my prayers have been answered, and she started coming back to the church. But she's gone away from it again. And now she's threatening. Not only has she devoured my inheritance, but now this small piece that I got in this home that I got that some of the other family members don't want me here, because that's a whole other issue I don't want to get into. Now she wants to come here too. That's not enough. She wants this too. Because I'm a horrible person, right? Because all the projections that she does onto me. What can I say, people? But my point is this. What's the alternative when it comes to tradition? When we deviate from tradition, that is a story we're all faced with. We're all familiar to some degree of this example of my sister that I just gave you. If you're going to be honest, we all know someone, if it's not in our family. We at least know someone like that. And that is the fruits of modernity, as they're calling it. That is the fruits of what mass media has been pushing, which is to deviate from tradition. I'm not saying Islamic tradition is good. You shouldn't, hell no. I'm not saying Hindu tradition is good. I'm not saying Buddhism is good. And so on. Christian tradition. When you deviate from that, you suffer. It's that simple. What does God mean when he says, I'm not here to destroy the law, but to fulfill it? It's that. Keep the tradition. Yeah? He established it to save you. All right. With that, I think I've said all I want to say today. I thank you again so much. God bless you for being here. You guys make everything special. I mean, it's just not enough words. I love you. Thank you for everything that you do. And keep on keeping on. Remember, regardless, pray unceasingly. Keep your noose in kinunia. Love God with all your being. And, like this movie demonstrates, love your neighbor as you should love yourself. God bless you, and keep on keeping on.